Artificial intelligence has long been used to model climate systems, economic shifts, and social trends. But perhaps its most haunting simulations are those that explore humanity's potential for self-destruction. When AI is tasked with envisioning Earth after a full-scale nuclear war, the outcome is both staggering and sobering. It paints a vision not of glory or dominance, but of silence, an Earth forever changed by the briefest moment of human error. According to predictive AI models based on environmental, atmospheric, and biological data, a global nuclear conflict would unfold in stages. The first stage, lasting only minutes, would determine the fate of billions. AI forecasts that within the opening hour of a nuclear exchange between major powers, over half of the world's population could be directly or indirectly affected. Cities would vanish in blinding flashes, vaporized under temperatures hotter than the surface of the sun. Infrastructure, communications, and global connectivity would collapse almost instantly, plunging the planet into chaos. But what follows, the aftermath, is what truly defines Earth's transformation. AI simulations predict that the detonation of thousands of warheads would inject immense amounts of soot and radioactive particles into the stratosphere. This would block sunlight on a planetary scale, triggering what scientists refer to as a nuclear winter. Average global temperatures could plummet by up to 10 degrees Celsius within weeks, devastating agriculture and collapsing food systems. Crops would fail across continents, and famine would spread faster than any disease humanity has ever faced. AI projections go further, illustrating how the biosphere itself would struggle to adapt. In this cold, darkened world, photosynthesis would nearly halt, leading to a mass extinction event that rivals or exceeds those of prehistory. Forests would wither, oceans would cool and acidify. Radioactive fallout would poison soil and water, rendering vast regions uninhabitable for centuries. Even the atmosphere would bear permanent scars, altered chemical balances, disrupted jet streams, and prolonged drought cycles in areas untouched by direct blasts. Humanity, in this AI-predicted scenario, would become a shadow of its former self. Scattered pockets of survivors would cling to existence in isolated zones, forming small, self-sufficient enclaves. Power grids would be gone. Global trade and communication would cease. Knowledge, once instantly accessible through digital networks, would regress to oral tradition and rudimentary documentation. Civilization, as we know it, would collapse not from one explosion, but from the long and merciless silence that follows. Yet even amid the devastation, AI's analysis suggests a chilling resilience. Some life would endure. Certain bacteria, insects, and extremophiles, organisms capable of surviving radiation and extreme cold, would become the dominant forms of life on the new Earth. Over centuries, evolution would begin again, rewriting the planet's ecological script. Humanity's legacy might remain only in ruins, radioactive monuments, and the scattered digital echoes of what once was, the final whisper of a species that mastered creation, but not restraint. As AI continues to project the long-term consequences, its simulations reveal a world reshaped beyond recognition. Within a few decades, radiation would fade enough for limited life to re-emerge, but the planet's ecosystem would be profoundly altered. The AI models suggest that evolution would take an unexpected path, one not guided by natural selection alone, but by mutation. The surviving organisms, heavily influenced by radiation, could evolve new biological traits at accelerated rates. Some species might develop radiation resistance, altered metabolisms, or entirely new forms of adaptation, creating an Earth populated by life unlike anything seen before. Humanity's remnants would adapt as well. AI forecasts indicate that surviving groups would live underground or in shielded enclaves near former industrial sites repurposed for survival. These communities would rely on renewable microenergy sources, such as geothermal or bioconversion systems, since fossil fuel infrastructures would have collapsed. With resources scarce and communication fractured, a new form of society would emerge, decentralized, pragmatic, and deeply focused on survival rather than progress. The dream of global unity would give way to small, isolated tribes of technologists and agrarians who remember the past as both a warning and a myth. AI also predicts the psychological consequences of survival. Generations born after the nuclear event would inherit a world defined by fear and silence. The stars, once symbols of human ambition, would instead represent the heavens that mankind scarred. Language and culture might shift toward reverence for nature and caution against technology, birthing a new spiritual philosophy centered on balance and restraint. The memory of nuclear war would become sacred history, a story told not for pride, but for penance. In the centuries that follow, AI models foresee the gradual healing of Earth. The atmosphere would slowly clear, vegetation would reclaim ruins, and radiation would recede into geological layers. Yet the marks of human folly would never fully fade. Future civilizations, perhaps descended from the survivors, might rediscover fragments of our age, corroded satellites, buried data servers, or the skeletal remains of cities encased in ash. These remnants would stand as haunting monuments to a species that once wielded the power of gods but failed to understand its own limits. In the final phase of AI's prediction, a distant future begins to emerge, one where nature, slowly and silently, reclaims dominance. Hundreds, perhaps thousands, of years after the nuclear cataclysm, the Earth would no longer resemble the world humanity once knew. Deserts might spread where continents once thrived. Vast forests of mutated flora could rise in places where radiation lingers, glowing faintly under a dimmed sun. AI simulations describe these landscapes as hauntingly beautiful, fragile, yet fiercely alive. The planet, once wounded by mankind's ambition, would begin its long process of self-correction. From a geological perspective, the scars of war would remain embedded in the Earth's crust. Glassified craters, radioactive isotopes, and altered mineral compositions would mark the Anthropocene's violent end. Yet, even these scars would tell a story, not of destruction alone, but of regeneration. Volcanic eruptions and tectonic shifts would eventually bury traces of the old world, integrating them into the planet's evolving structure. In time, Earth would heal itself not through divine intervention, but through the relentless persistence of nature. AI's final simulations extend beyond biology and geology, venturing into the philosophical realm. They suggest that if intelligent life, human or otherwise, were to rise again, its relationship with technology and power would be profoundly different. The memory of nuclear annihilation would serve as an eternal warning encoded in myth, art, and morality. Future civilizations might view the atomic age as humanity's great trial, a test of wisdom that was tragically failed. Their advancement would likely focus not on conquest or competition, but on harmony, sustainability, and understanding the delicate balance between creation and destruction. In one of its most poignant outcomes, AI envisions the distant descendants of humankind, or perhaps entirely new intelligent species, uncovering remnants of the old world, deciphering fragments of data preserved in underground vaults or satellite ruins. To them, we would be both ancestors and cautionary tales, remembered not for our brilliance or technology, but for our hubris. And yet, there lies a faint thread of hope woven through these simulations. AI predicts that life, in its infinite resilience, always finds a way forward. Thus, Earth after nuclear war would not be a dead world but a changed one, a mirror reflecting the duality of human nature, capable of destruction beyond measure, yet part of a universe that endlessly renews itself. In the end, AI's vision is not just a warning, it is a reminder. The power to destroy is also the power to choose, and the future of Earth will forever depend on which path humanity decides to take before the final spark is ever lit.